At my sister's birthday party, my father took the microphone and made an announcement that froze every smile in the room. Tonight, he said, our accomplished daughter Venus is giving her penthouse to her sister, Tara. 30 guests applauded like it was generosity, not humiliation. I stood there, heart pounding, the key still cold in my hand. My mother's eyes challenged me to comply. My father's smile told me I had no option. And when I said no, the sound of his hand split through the music. My earring struck the marble floor and rolled away. That slap shattered everything, including whatever bond we still had left. The night had begun like any other Carter family celebration, loud, polished, and painfully rehearsed. The house gleamed beneath chandeliers, the marble floors catching reflections of gold dresses and half-finished wine glasses. A string quartet performed near the windows overlooking Atlanta's skyline. From the outside, it was flawless. Inside, it felt like a stage where I never had the right lines. 2 hours before that slap, I'd arrived with a bottle of aged wine and a courteous smile. My mother barely glanced up. "Oh, good, Venus. Just set it on the bar," she said, fussing over the dessert table where my sister Tara stood, surrounded by friends. Tara laughed loudly, the kind of laugh that filled a room and demanded attention. Her fiancé Ethan leaned in to murmur something, and she swatted his arm playfully, her diamond bracelet catching the light. "You look exhausted," Mom added without turning around. "You work too much." "I run a company, Mom," I replied quietly. "It's meant to be work." She hummed, distracted. "You should think about balance. Maybe help your sister get back on her feet. She's been having a hard time." That word, struggling, had become the family's excuse for everything Tara did. For years, she drifted from one failed venture to another, cushioned by my parents' constant support. Meanwhile, every time I accomplished something, the applause was soft, followed by reminders to stay modest. I greeted relatives and family friends, the usual crowd who thought they knew us. Aunt Nancy pinched my cheek, still treating me like I was 12. "Still single?" she asked with a smirk. "All those degrees, all that success, but no man yet." I smiled faintly. "No, Aunt Nancy, no man yet." Her husband, Uncle George, lifted his glass. "Maybe if you stopped being so intimidating, sweetheart. Men don't like that." Their laughter grated on my nerves. I found a quiet corner near the bar, pretending to check emails. Across the room, Tara basked in compliments. "She's such a free spirit," someone said, "not tied down like Venus." "Yeah," another added, "money isn't everything." I sipped my wine and swallowed the bitterness burning in my throat. Dad moved through the room like a politician, shaking hands, smiling wide. He'd built his success on charm and control. When he finally reached me, his hand rested heavy on my shoulder. "You proud of your sister tonight?" he asked. I forced a smile. "Of course." He leaned closer. "You've done well for yourself. Maybe it's time you shared that good fortune. Family takes care of family." His tone wasn't a suggestion. It was a command wrapped in affection. I nodded, pretending to listen as he walked away to refill his drink. My pulse quickened. There was something in his voice. Final. Rehearsed. Dangerous. The music swelled. People gathered for a toast, and I caught Tara's eyes. She looked almost anxious, almost guilty. Then Dad lifted the microphone, and I knew the night was about to shift into something none of us would ever forget. The screech of microphone feedback sliced through the laughter like a blade. Conversations halted. Glasses lowered. My father stood in the center of the room, posture proud, voice coded in performance. "Tonight," he began, "we celebrate family generosity and the bond that keeps us strong." I already dreaded where it was heading. I'd seen that glint in his eyes before, right before he revealed something that benefited everyone but me. He turned toward me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. And what better way to show that bond than a gift from one sister to another? Our dedicated Venus has chosen to give her penthouse to her sister Tara. The room burst into applause and gasps. Some clapped out of shock, others because that's what you did when the patriarch expected it. Cameras flashed. Someone called out, "That's incredible." I stood frozen, glass still in my hand, my smile rigid. For a moment I thought I'd misheard. But then Tara covered her mouth in feigned surprise. "Dad, really?" she said, her voice trembling just enough to sound genuine. My mother dabbed at the corner of her eye, whispering, "This is so beautiful." My stomach knotted. I could feel 30 pairs of eyes fixed on me, waiting for me to nod and play along. My father extended his hand expectantly, his palm open like a demand. "Come on, sweetheart," he said into the mic. "It's only fair. Your sister's been having a hard time. You can always purchase another one." Something inside me broke. The years of silence, of smiling through their favoritism, of signing checks and never being appreciated. They all collided in that instant. I placed my wine glass down by the stem, my fingers trembling slightly. "No," I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it was steady. The word cut through the applause like glass breaking. My father blinked, confused at first, as if it hadn't registered. "What did you say?" I straightened my spine, the weight lifting off my shoulders with every syllable. I said, "No, I'm not giving away my home." A wave of whispers spread through the crowd. Aunt Nancy's mouth fell open. Uncle George muttered, "Ungrateful." My mother's voice sliced through them. "Venus, don't do this. You're humiliating us." I turned to her. "I've supported this family for years. I paid for half of this party, the wine, the chef, everything. But this is mine." Tara's eyes shimmered with fake tears. "Venus, please. It's not like that." But it was exactly like that. My father's smile disappeared. His jaw tightened, microphone still in hand. "You're defying me," he said, stepping closer. His voice dropped low, but the room was so silent everyone heard it. Before I could react, his hand struck fast and hard. The sound rang out. My head jerked to the side, my skin burning. My earring flew off, skidding across the marble floor until it hit the leg of a chair. The room inhaled sharply. No one moved. Not a single person stepped forward. I straightened slowly, touched my cheek, and looked at him. He waited for me to collapse, to cry, to apologize. Instead, I retrieved my earring and whispered, "Happy birthday, Tara." Then I walked away. The hallway outside the banquet room was colder, quieter, like the air itself refused to carry the noise from inside. My cheeks still burned, my skin hot against the cold marble. I pressed my hand to it, half expecting to see his fingerprints stamped there. Behind the closed doors, the music had resumed, a frantic attempt to pretend nothing happened. That was my family turning shame into background noise. I walked faster, heels striking the floor in a steady rhythm. I wasn't fleeing, I was finished fleeing. In the reflection of a glass console, I caught my face. Calm, distant, eyes hardened. That calm frightened me more than the slap because it meant something inside me had gone quiet, like a lake just before a storm. I reached into my clutch and pulled out my phone. One tap. That's all it required. A single button glowing blue. I stared at the screen for a moment, then locked it. No one inside knew what that button meant, but I did. It wasn't anger pushing me. It was calculation. Months earlier, my best friend Kayla had warned me, if they cross that line again, don't argue. Just call her. Grandma's the only one they fear. At the time, I'd laughed. I can handle them. Kayla had simply looked at me and said softly, "Handling isn't the same as being free." Now her words echoed as I walked down the hallway. The string quartet's melody faded, replaced by muted voices. My heels clicked like a countdown. I paused by a floor-to-ceiling window. Atlanta's skyline shimmered beyond the glass, all those towers glowing, indifferent. Somewhere out there was my penthouse, the one they tried to take from me with applause. My reflection stared back, half in light, half in shadow. The elevator chimed. I stepped inside, pressed the lobby button, and watched the doors slide shut. My pulse steadied. Every floor that passed was another layer of control sliding back into place. In the lobby, the air carried the scent of white lilies and expensive perfume. I leaned against the marble wall and exhaled for the first time. A text vibrated on my screen. On my way, I typed a single word back. Then I turned my phone face down, slipped it into my clutch, and walked toward the glass doors. Outside, the summer night was still warm, but I felt nothing. As I crossed the driveway, headlights swept across the entrance. A black sedan pulled up, and a woman stepped out. Tall, composed, hair silver beneath the lights. She didn't look at me. She didn't need to. I nodded once, and she nodded back. Inside, laughter still drifted faintly from the windows. In 30 minutes, that laughter would end. And when it did, everyone in that room would finally understand what happens when you try to humiliate the wrong daughter. The quartet was still playing when the doors opened, but every note felt empty. The woman with silver hair walked in, heels striking like a countdown. Conversations froze mid-sentence. "Daniel Carter," she said evenly. "Explain why you laid a hand on your daughter." My father lowered the microphone, color draining from his face. "Mother, it's not what you think." "Then tell me what I should think," Margaret replied. Her cane struck the floor once. "You humiliated Venus. You demanded her home like she was an ATM." Her gaze swept the guests. "And every one of you applauded." The silence that followed was thick. Even the quartet fell quiet. My mother stammered. "Mom, please. It was a misunderstanding." "Be careful with that word," Margaret said. "You've used it to excuse cruelty for years." My father adjusted his tie. "It was family business. She overreacted." I stepped out from the doorway. "No," I told him. "That's not overreacting. That's setting a boundary." Margaret turned toward me but didn't interrupt. She simply lifted her chin and declared, "You have 5 minutes to find her earring." A gasp moved through the room. Tara dropped to her knees immediately, her gown sweeping across the marble. Guests shifted, unsure whether to help or disappear. My father's jaw tightened, eyes flicking between his mother and the crowd recording him. "Mother, this isn't necessary," he said, his voice rising. "It's absolutely necessary," she replied. "When a man strikes a woman, he kneels to pick up what he knocked down." No one moved. Even the air itself seemed to pause. Tara crawled forward a few steps, searching under tables. Her mascara ran down her cheeks. My mother whispered her name, but didn't dare step closer. Phones were raised now, every angle, every second, streaming live. "Enough," Margaret said. "Stand up, all of you. This family has confused obedience with respect for far too long." She faced my father directly. "You run a company, Daniel, not a kingdom. And as of this moment, you run neither." He blinked. "What are you saying?" "I'm rewriting my will tonight. My estate, my accounts. Everything goes to Venus." Shock moved through the room like wind against glass. My mother gasped. Tara froze. "That's insane," my father snapped. "You can't." "I can and I will." Her voice didn't rise. It only hardened. "You humiliated me. You shattered your daughter's dignity in public. You will live with that reflection." He tried to laugh, but it broke in his throat. "You'll regret this." Margaret turned to the crowd. "You've all seen enough. Remember what you witnessed." Then she looked at me. "Do you have the earring?" I nodded and opened my clutch. The pearl rested in my palm, small but luminous beneath the chandelier. I walked to the center of the room and placed it on the table. "There it is," I said softly. No one spoke. My father stared at it like it might explode. My mother's hands trembled over her chest. Tara watched, eyes glassy. Margaret's expression softened slightly. "Venus," she said, "you owe them nothing. Take your things and leave." I exhaled slowly, like releasing years of breath I'd been holding. "Thank you." I turned to my father. "You wanted obedience. You got silence instead. I hope it echoes." He stepped forward, desperate. "We can fix this," he said. "You're still my daughter." I met his eyes. "Not tonight." Then I looked at Tara. "You could have told him no. You always could have." She swallowed, speechless. Margaret tapped her cane once more. "The party is over." Guests began to disperse, murmuring apologies and excuses. The quartet packed their instruments in a rush. Even the air conditioning sounded like it wanted to escape. I met Margaret by the door. Up close, her expression was fierce yet proud. "You've done well," she whispered. "They finally saw who you are." "And who they are?" I replied. She nodded. "Tomorrow we'll sign the paperwork." I gave her a faint smile. "Make sure you rest tonight." She squeezed my arm gently. "You too, child." As I walked out, the sound of heels and whispers followed behind me. The night air touched my skin, warm, sharp, scented with cut grass and exhaust. I glanced back once through the glass wall, my parents frozen in the aftermath. Tara still kneeling, the pearl gleaming under the chandelier. It didn't look like victory. It looked like freedom. A black sedan waited outside. Kayla leaned against it, arms crossed. "So?" she asked. "It's over," I said. She opened the door. "Let's go home." As we drove away, the house shrank in the rearview mirror, its windows glowing like dying embers. My reflection blended with the skyline ahead, calm, steady, untouchable. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I simply let the silence fill the space where their voices used to live. By morning, the video had gone viral. Someone had streamed the entire scene, the announcement, the refusal, the slap, and the moment my grandmother walked in. It spread across every platform with captions like, "Father slaps daughter over penthouse gift, and family party turns into public meltdown." Reporters camped outside my parents' house by noon. Dad's business partners pulled out of pending deals. Mom's charity board quietly asked her to resign. Tara's engagement dissolved overnight. Ethan's family released a statement about values and stability. I didn't comment. I didn't have to. The world was speaking for me. In my penthouse, morning light stretched across the floor-to-ceiling windows. Kayla scrolled through her phone, shaking her head. "They're trending, and not in a good way." I poured coffee, the aroma filling the quiet. "They wanted attention," I said. "Now they have it." She looked at me carefully. "Do you feel better?" I considered it. The ache on my cheek had faded into a trace of warmth. "No," I said. "Not better. Just finished." A new email blinked on my screen from Grandma Margaret. Subject finalized. Body. The paperwork is complete. Everything is in your name now. Rest. I closed the laptop, leaned back, and let the stillness settle around me. For the first time in years, silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. That evening, the city glowed beneath my windows like a map of everything I'd endured. I stood there holding the pearl earring between my fingers, its smooth surface cool against my skin. Then I fastened it back into place. The reflection in the glass looked like someone I finally knew. People think revenge is loud, that it burns and destroys. They're wrong. Real revenge is quiet. It's choosing yourself and never looking back. I picked up my phone and typed a message to Kayla. "Dinner tomorrow." She replied with a heart. I smiled. If you've ever had to walk away from people who were supposed to love you, I whispered,